Hello, how is everybody? Can people hear me?
Yeah.
Great,
We
perfect.
can hear you.
Okay, we're gonna get started here in we're gonna give people like 1 more minute to try to join. I see we're still getting people joining in the waiting room. Okay, I've got two paths, so why don't we go ahead and get started. So welcome to Physics 314, Physics 2. My name is Professor Matthew Muther. By the way, I have my name here on the screen here. Is that showing the correct way around for you guys? Like I have it flipped on my, okay, perfect. Um, so what I wanted to do today is basically just go through the tools that we're going to be using um, this semester. Talk about, go through the syllabus, all the course details, and then at the very end, we might have a little bit of time to introduce some of the first physics concepts for the semester as we go along. Okay, so as you see, we're meeting via Zoom this semester, so a little bit different than normal in-class persons. Has everybody had Zoom meetings? A lot of you have had Zoom meetings before? No, yes. Okay, some of you have, some of you may not have. Um, so Right. So let's just give a little bit of a quick overview of Zoom because all of our lectures this semester are going to be over Zoom. All of our live meetings are going to be on Zoom. I thought about it a lot over the summer, and you know the rooms around campus have very severe restrictions for how many people can be in person, and so it's just really hard to work out an equitable class with having some alternating in-person thing. It just so everything's going to be online this semester. Um, so a few features we're going to use on Zoom are just me chatting to you. I'm going to be able to share my screen and my iPad, so I'm going to be able to draw and show you my PowerPoints over Zoom. You'll notice that you guys should all see up in the corner that this is being recorded right now. So we're going to record all the Zoom sessions. I'll post them up on the class's YouTube channel if you want to review these later. I would like everybody to try to attend these live sessions as much as possible, and we'll talk about participation credit as we go along here. We're going to, oh, right, so a few other things. If you want to talk to me on Zoom, there's a few ways we can do that. One, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom, you should have a set of controls. One of them is chat. So if you click chat, you should have you should get a little chat inset pop up on the right-hand side or somewhere in your whatever Zoom client you're using. As we're going along, if you want to type questions into the chat, you can do that, and they'll be. I'll try to pause periodically through the lecture and look at the chat and see if there are any pressing questions. The best way to get my attention is to raise your hand. Now there's 30 of you in this, 31 of you in this Zoom session, so I can't see all of your video screens at once. I won't know if you're raising your hand, so you're going to have to raise your hands digitally. So to do that on Zoom, if you open if you click the participant button at the bottom of your screen or on your Zoom client, you should find a list of those participating, and towards the bottom there should be a little symbol that says raise hand, or maybe you have a raise hand option. So let's try that. Can everybody try to raise their hand right now? Okay, good. We're almost there. Lots of people raising their hands. Okay, and the nice thing about this, when you guys raise your hands, good, everybody's finding it, is it pops, when you raise your hand on my participant list that I'm looking at, it pops you up to the top of the participant list, and I get a little thing indicating you've raised your hand, so it'll interrupt me and I can stop and take a question. Okay. You can go ahead and lower your hands now. I'm also able to just lower all the hands myself. Okay. There are some other buttons there. So there are yes, no, there are some little polling features there. We might try to use that as we go along. Okay. So for instance, I see Nick and Braden still have their hands up. Braden, did you have a question, or is your hand just still up? I think he put his hand down. Okay. By the way, I'm not sure I can hear you guys. Can somebody raise their hand and just say hello to me just so I can verify that my audio is working?
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, hello. Great. I can hear you. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. Um, so so let me go ahead now and share my screen. Okay. One second. Oh dear. Okay, great. So you should now be seeing a PowerPoint slide with some information about me on it. Everybody seeing that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Okay. So I posted some of this on the Slack channel, and we'll talk about Slack here in a second as we go along. But just a little bit about me, just some personal information about me. So I'm a father of two boys, 4 and 8. So you can see them building some. I'm proud of their Star Wars Lego creations that they completed playing with these, getting wild. So these guys are, I'm zooming to you guys mostly from my basement. I might be in my office sometimes. It is possible at some point during the semester they will barge in on this. Who knows? We'll see what happens. They're usually pretty good about not jumping in, but I've got rambunctious kids running around. What else? Some interesting things about me. I like fantasy sports, so I'm a big fantasy football guy. I won my league championship last year. I am a baseball fan, so I grew up outside of St. Louis. So I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. I like to travel. So this is a picture of me in Heidelberg, Germany. So turns out physics is a really great field if you like traveling. Physics is a very international field, so I get to travel into lots of international conferences all over the world and talk about interesting physics, and I'll talk about the actual research that I do here as we go through the slides. And another interesting thing is over the summer, I'd been a juggler a little bit in the past, but I picked it back up since I wasn't going as many places as usual. And I'm up to juggling 5 balls now. I can juggle 5 I can get about 10 throws on 5 balls. Maybe by the end of the semester, I'll even be like, if I get to where I'm proficient, maybe I'll show you guys some of my 5-ball juggling just to show off. So that's a little bit about me. I know a lot of you guys were sharing interesting facts about yourself on Slack, and I think that was really great, and I'm enjoying reading all the little quips there. Okay, so another tool that we are going to use on Zoom is there's a polling feature where you guys can participate on your screen and answer some questions. So this is just one I'm starting out. This is just to take a poll here. So how are you feeling about this semester? So great everything's crystal clear. I'm sure it's going to go good. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. You're feeling good. You're not sure. You're a little uncertain about everything that's happening this semester. You're scared and confused. So I'm going to open up a poll and let people respond to this. Normally, the questions won't be about your feelings. They'll be about physics. So this is the only one that I think I'm going to poll about your feelings. But I can tell you that I'm somewhere in the CD range just because this is a very new format for me teaching this course. So I hope everybody is patient with one another this semester. And let me open up this poll. So I'm going to launch a poll. You should have got a pop-up asking you to participate in the poll. And I can see the number of people responding in real time. So I can see that 16, 20, many of you have completed the poll. Okay. Okay, so everybody completed the poll. Nope, now everybody completed the poll. And I can end the poll and I can share the results. So I think now you're seeing the results of the poll. And you can see that most people click C, they're not sure. I'm happy to hear that there's a significant portion of you that feel good about this semester. But you can see there's a lot of people that are uncertain or scared or confused and don't really know how this semester is going to go. And I feel that. So, you know, we're hopefully after today, you'll feel a little bit more confident about what we're doing in this class and what I expect of you. Communication is going to be the key to this. I have this Slack channel. I'm going to show you that. I really encourage people to use it. It's a really great tool that I use to communicate in the department and for all my research projects. So if people really use that, I think it's a great way to get fast communications with your classmates and with me, and we'll talk about that. But of course, you can always email me or contact me in more traditional ways. So I'm going to come back to this at the end of today. If people have questions that they're still feeling uncertain about how the class is going to run, or even about things happening on the university, you can ask me those questions, or just don't hesitate to raise your hands as we go along. Okay, so that's the Zoom polling feature. So we're going to use that as we go along this semester here. Okay, so next what I want to do is talk about the course setup. I'm going to open up the Blackboard and sort of dive into the way the class is going to be structured and the tools we're going to use to manage everything in this sort of remote setup. So one thing I can tell you right now is that when we meet in person for these live sessions, I don't plan to do a lot of traditional lecturing over the material, telling you about the concepts and working through that. That's going to be presented to you in pre-recorded videos that we're making. So it's myself and actually two other professors are teaming up that are teaching 314 are going to be sharing that. So on those videos, you'll see Dr. Greg Novak and Amil and Dr. Kapil will also be presenting those videos as well as myself. So you'll see us alternate weekly who's presenting the videos, recorded videos. I'll also be posting some supplemental videos that I'll make just for our section. So those other two professors don't do as many live demonstrations or physics demonstrations in their classes, but I really like to show you guys physically how these things are working and try to do demonstrations to drive home a lot of the concepts we'll be talking about. So I'll also have my own set of demo videos for you guys to look at. So my expectation is that you will be reading the textbook and watching these videos before the live sessions. And I'll try to indicate in the weekly announcements, you know, which videos you should have at least watched before which live session so that it's clear to you what you should be watching. Now, this is a lot of extra material to try to take in over a normal semester out of class. And so to try to accommodate for that, I think what we're going to do is most weeks, we will not be having a live Zoom session on Mondays. Okay, so we're going to, that's going to be, so basically the live Zoom sessions are going to be in a standard week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because Tuesday's our off day in this class. Okay. So that means we'll have a block of 3 days of live lectures where we're going to be doing problem solvings and answering questions on the topics. And then you'll have the weekend and 2 days to work on, that you can really work on homework, ask me questions about homework, go through the online materials yourself, okay? And I will try to announce each week, which days we will be having a live session. There may be a week where there's less lecture and there's some reason why we want to meet on a Monday. So I do want to reserve the possibility for us to meet. That would also be a good day for if you want to schedule a office hour or personal meeting with me, you could try to schedule to get together to chat with some things. Okay, so most of the course is going to be managed through Blackboard, and that's how you can get to all these systems that we're going to use. So I'm going to switch my sharing over to the browser. Okay, so now you guys are seeing my browser. And I'm going to switch to student view. Okay, so this is what the class should look like when you guys get on your Blackboard. You should see the set of announcements. So I'm going to try to send out a weekly announcement like this that's going to have a schedule. So you can see this week we do have a live lecture every day of the week. And there's already several sets of assignments that are due, and we'll talk about that as we go along here. So you can see today is just introduction, Zoom lecture. Tuesday we have no Zoom meeting because that's our off day. And then on Wednesday we'll get back together for a Zoom lecture, and we'll do problem solvings over the first 3 sections of chapter 22. And so to prepare for that, I ask you to please read chapter 22 from Knight and complete the pre-lecture assignment that's posted on Mastering Physics. So it's just a short assignment that does some, reading comprehension type simple questions. Watch the lecture demo videos, number 1 and number 2, and watch the lecture videos for chapter 22, sections 1 through 3. And there's also this introductory assignment on Blackboard that I know a lot of you guys have already been completing, because I'm getting the secret word slacked to me a lot. And so that's also, if you can complete it, that's due by the end of Tuesday. Some people, as they work through this assignment, might find they have some technical difficulties. In that case, send me a message and we can get you an extension until you work out whatever technical kinks there happen to be. So this is this week's schedule. So those are the announcements. And then most of the tools we're going to use for the class, I've posted up in the left-hand column here. So there's a link to this Zoom channel right at the top. So you can always click this to get to our Zoom sessions. You can click this to get to the announcements. You can click this to get to our Slack workspace. So let me switch my sharing to Slack. So if you click that, what it's going to launch you into is this application called, or this web-based application. There's also a desktop client called Slack. So here I'm sharing my Slack client with you. And this is basically a platform for doing collaborative work with people. You can see over here, all of these different icons are different Slack workspaces that I'm a member of. So I use this for all the experimental collaborations I'm a member of. We use it in the department to communicate with faculty and graduate students. I don't know, I've got like 15 different Slack workspaces. So this is why I chose Slack, is because I'm always on Slack. If I'm doing my research, I'm on Slack a lot. It's going to be the quickest way to get a hold of me. If a message pops up on Slack, I'm always tilting my head to look at what's popping up on Slack, and that's going to be a great way to get a hold of me. So when you click that link on the Blackboard page, it's going to take you to a web page, if you haven't done this already, and ask you to sign up for Slack, and you just register with your shocker.wichita.edu email, and it will let you into the Slack channel. When you get there, there are a few channels that are set up. There's a general channel where I'll just be having general discussion with you and posting announcements. I set up a homework channel. If people have specific questions about homework, they can post it in the homework channel. I would really encourage you to post in the general homework channel questions you have about the assignments, because if you have the question, rather than just sending me a direct message, because if you have a question about it, it's very likely someone else doesn't, and we can just answer it for everybody if it happens in the channel quickly. And you might jump on there and see somebody else has answered it, or another student might be able to jump in and answer it before I get to it. So that's the beauty of Slack, is that we can all be helping each other out as we go along a little bit. I've got a lecture channel set up right now. This is where we might post clarifications, or maybe I haven't exactly figured out what I'll do here, but I might, so the Slack chat, or sorry, the Zoom chat, I can save that out at the end of each session. So it's possible I'll copy some of the interesting comments from the lectures that came up into here to archive them. We'll see how that plays out as it goes along. And we can add other channels as the semester goes along if people find that helpful. I tried not to chop things up too much to make it complicated where to find the information. I'm trying to just keep it into a few as just a few set channels. But you guys should also be able to add your own channels if you guys want to. If you want to make a channel to just talk about cooking tips, I don't care. That's fine. Make a channel and do whatever you want. If they're inappropriate channels or something strange, I might take them down. But like, please use this. This is a platform to help you guys communicate with one another and to build a little bit of community in the class. So feel free to add a channel if it's helpful, or request me add a channel, etc. So the other thing you can do is you can direct message. So you can see, so there's another channel called so I'm getting a question. So Aaron just popped me up a question. You can see he sent me a DM asking me, what's the physics careers channel? Right, so that one I haven't, if I click browse channels, you can see these. I forgot I had added this one. So I'm gonna sign myself up for that. So the physics careers channel is a place that I thought I might post interesting information about what it's like to be a physicist, what it's like for different, people of different types working in physics at different levels, and interesting job opportunities that people with a strong background in physics have. I might post interesting information just to give you guys an idea there as we go along there. So that's just one I'm playing with. So as we go, that one's not going to be used a lot, but as I have interesting things to share with you, I'll post them up there. That was a good question. And right, so you can also do these direct messages like you just saw. If you click the plus button by your direct messages, you can start a conversation, and you can add multiple people to the direct messages. Like if I wanted to chat with Aaron and Courtney, right, I could add them both to a direct message, and I could have a direct message thread with a couple people. Like if you had a study group and you like to use Slack, you guys can set these up. Okay, I have a link. All right, let me jump back to Blackboard. Okay, we should be back to seeing my browser. So there is a link on the side called Getting Started on Slack. If this seems alien to you, there's a YouTube video there that goes through a lot of the basics, but it's pretty intuitive. If you just want to use it as a simple chat client, that's fine. There are lots of powerful things it can do. You can do document sharing. You can do calls with people. You can post images and comment on them, and etc. There's a lot of things. So use it to the level you want, but please feel free to use that and communicate via Slack. Any questions about Slack right now? No. Okay. So the next thing you see here are 2 links to the 2 different YouTube playlists that we're going to be using this semester. This one called Chapter Lectures, if I open that one up, takes us to the playlist for the individual sections. And you can see currently there are lectures for chapter 22 and 23 posted up. Okay. So when I say for Wednesday to read the first 3 sections, there are these 3 videos, and they're not incredibly long videos. Each one is, like, I would say on average like 8 minutes, something like that. They're pretty quick. They're just going to hit the main topics. and any problem solving, any, you know, special, like any really detailed work it out kind of stuff we're going to try to do in the live sessions. But this is just so you've seen all the concepts, so I don't have to go over, you know, definitional things during the Zoom sessions. The other one is for our particular class. This is the class videos. So if I open this one up, oops. Right, so this is just Physics 314 for myself. And this has, at the moment, the demo videos for chapter 22 posted. So again, here's demo 1 and demo 2. Those are the ones I requested that you please watch in advance of Wednesday's class. I'm trying this style where basically, so normally what I would do if we were meeting in person is I would bring demonstration equipment into class and have it set up and perform most of these demonstrations for you in class. We were not equipped in time for this this class for me to really record high quality video versions of the demonstrations, but luckily, thanks to the internet, there are lots of those available already. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of going through and picking my favorite versions of these demonstrations that have high quality recordings and sort of doing a reaction style video to it where I'm showing you the video with me living in the corner and pausing it and giving you comments how it's relevant to the material we're covering. And inside of each of those, I might show a few YouTube clips and talk about them as a you know, kind of like a cohesive topic. So hopefully that style works good. I'd like some feedback. If you would rather me just post the clips directly and not have my little head down there giving comment, we could try that too. But I think it's useful to have me giving some context of how it's relevant to the actual class. Okay, so that's the YouTube stuff. Any questions about YouTube? Okay. So the next link you'll see is the course calendar. So if you click that, you'll be jumped into the course calendar, and here you'll see our schedule. So we are going to keep, I tried to arrange things so that the schedule is very regular and people can understand clearly what's happening. We are going to be covering a single chapter per week, one chapter per week. So you can see this week we're going to cover chapter 22, next week 23, and we're just going to advance sequentially up to chapter 35 this semester. Each week there are a set of homeworks due for each chapter. They are going to always be due on Tuesday, by the end of the day Tuesday. And there's two kinds of assignments you'll find there, well, three really. One is these pre-lecture assignments, these quick assignments that you're going to complete after you do the reading for a given chapter. And the other one is the long, like a complete online homework set for the given, that covers the chapter that we gave in the previous week, right? So for instance, by the end of the day tomorrow, you need to finish your pre-lecture assignment for chapter 22, as well as this introductory assignment in Blackboard that I'll show you here in a bit. And then by next week, by next Tuesday, you'll have to complete the full homework assignment for chapter 22, the pre-lecture for chapter 23. And the third assignment that's hiding here is something called an adaptive follow-up assignment. It's basically a small extra credit problem set that will be opened up once you complete the larger set. If you, it basically, Mastering Physics, I don't know if your other professors use this in 313, it has this tool called adaptive follow-ups where basically as you go through the main assignment, we'll try to figure out which topics you're weak on, and it'll present you some extra problems in this adaptive follow-up to give you extra practice on the topics that you seem to be a little bit weak on. Okay. Again, I just have these blocked off, but most Mondays we will not have in-person meetings via Zoom. And you can see that this schedule continues. Well, I don't know why. Okay, now it's advancing. Now it just advanced to March 2021. Great. Okay. All right, you can see this schedule pretty much just advances very regularly through the entire week. I've already posted on when exams are going to be. So in addition to our standard homework, we're going to have 2 exams, one around the halfway point of the class and one at the very end of class, at the very end of the course. And there's also going to be 4 written homework assignments that will cover the sort of larger conceptual blocks through the chapter, and we'll see that as we go along here. So for instance, that first, you can see a written homework, that first written homework is going to be due on the 6th. And there's a exam, the first exam is going to be on the 11th. That's going to cover the first 4 chapters or 5 chapters, something like that. I forget the details. We can look in the syllabus. Okay, so it's very regular what we're doing with the exception of these written homeworks and the exams that pop up, and I'll keep you well notified of when those are coming up. And then everything progresses like that until we get to this 3rd week in November. That's when we'll be covering our last chapter, chapter 35. And then we have this long week break for Thanksgiving / fall break. So we don't have our normal split fall break this semester. It's just all stuck in this 1 week. So we can have this contiguous schedule. And then after that, we come back and we won't necessarily have any live lectures covering new material that will be part of graded material. We'll probably review for the final exam. There's a few last homeworks to finish up. And maybe if people want to see it, we can talk about some additional modern physics topics for those of you who are interested. But those might be optional lectures just for those that are curious about it. So that's the calendar. Keep going on the left-hand side. If you open up course materials, you'll see there are 3 things posted there. The syllabus, so the written assignments and the lecture slides and problems. So the written assignments, if I open that one up, you'll see that I've already posted the 4 primary homework sets and they have due dates associated with them, and you should find those in the assignments. You're welcome to take a look at them now. I don't expect you guys to work way ahead on these, but for those that want to know, they're already posted up now and you can be looking at them. There is this introductory assignment that I've asked you to complete. You have to read the syllabus, log on to Mastering Physics, sign on to Slack, perform a few little interesting things on Slack, right? Provide me these information I asked for. Looks like most of you were able to successfully connect to Zoom. Watch the first YouTube videos. And then the last bit is to complete this, how to, to submit your first assignment via Blackboard. So we're going to use the Blackboard's online homework submission tool. Over here in the column, you see this how to submit homework. That tells you that gives you some tips about good ways to submit your homework so that the writing is clear. So basically you can type things up and submit a digital document. You can write things by hand and take photos with your camera and submit them over the system. There's lots of different ways you can get it done. And I'm not going to be too picky this semester about how you do it as long as you give me something that's clear and legible. So the first assignment is basically just to submit a handwritten or typed document with a secret word that I have hidden in the syllabus and send it to me just to verify that you can use this system. Okay, and if I pop back to the materials, lecture slides and problems. I will also post up the lecture slides, just the PowerPoints for those online videos. So the ones that you see on YouTube, just the PowerPoint slides are also available. If you want to go back and just look at them without the YouTube video, you can just flip through them as a set of slides. Those are posted through chapter 28, and I think the rest of them will be available for the entire semester by the end of the week. There is another, right? So for each chapter, there are 2 presentations posted here. One is the lecture slides. The other one is this thing called Problems Students. So this is one where I've pulled into a PowerPoint slide the problems that we're going to be working through in the live sessions. So this is a good one to have on hand. You might make sure that you have this downloaded for those live sessions that we're going to have starting on Wednesday. I'll be sharing them on my screen, but it's nice for you to just have them up yourself in case I have to cut away from the slide to show you some stuff on my iPad, some problem solving, etc. Okay. The syllabus is also posted here. I'll let you guys take a look at that. Let me see. Let me just open it really quick. Okay, so if you open that syllabus, it'll look like this. It has the usual contact information. I have office hours listed as Tuesdays from 11:30 to 1:30. But really, I think the best way to get a hold of me for office hours is just to contact me on Slack, and let's schedule something, and we can find a time that works for you. If this block doesn't work, we can meet on a Monday or in an afternoon, or just try to schedule an appointment with me, because I'm going to have to schedule a Zoom appointment to meet with you. So the best thing is to do this by appointment. You can reach me by my office telephone. If you call that, I'll still get a hold of you. But again, email and Slack is best. There's a bunch of the normal boilerplate stuff here. We're going to be using Knight, the same textbook you used for 313. There's some information about Slack. Okay, so here's some things. So the grading this semester, 30% of it is going to be from your online homework, from your Mastering Physics assignments that I have posted up. 30% of it is going to come from these 4 longer written assignments. 30% of it is going to come from those exams that I have posted. And 10% of it is going to be from participation/attendance. So at the end of each Zoom meeting, I can pull up the roll of who attended the Zoom meetings, and I'm going to keep track of that. I'm not going to expect 100% participation. I'll be very clear when I figure out what I want to do, but as long as you're coming to a majority of those, you should be fine on participation. But I do want people coming to these live sessions because it's going to be important this semester. So you will get credit for attending these live sessions. You don't have to do anything special. I'll fill in the attendance sheet. You'll be able to see it. If you disagree with it, let me know. If there's a reason you can't be in class that day, just let me know in advance, and it's no sweat. We can work it out. I'll just excuse you that day if there's a legitimate excuse. The exams, there'll be 2 exams, like I said, each covering half the course material. So the final exam will not be comprehensive. It'll cover the second half of the course. So the midterm will cover the first half. The final will cover the second half. Online homework is going to be through Mastering Physics, just like I think you guys did in 313. And again, there will be these extra credit points that let you earn up to 10% extra on your online homework. And then there are these 4 written examples here. Turn in everything, get everything done in time. Even, right, this is we're still moving at a pretty quick pace. Don't fall behind. I don't accept late material unless you have some legitimate excuse. So if you don't know if you have a legitimate excuse, contact me and we'll work something out. All of the additional syllabus items, the standard boilerplate stuff, are posted at this wichita.edu /syllabus policies, and you guys can take a look at that to learn more about that. And the full, again, the sort of rundown of what's due when is in the back of the syllabus. So here you can see all those assignments that are going to be due each week, and when the first written homework and first exams are coming due. Okay, so you can see that here. Okay. Let me pop back to the what do I want to pop back to? Okay, now we're back in Safari. Okay, right, and then this next link, the last link that I wanted to share with you guys is just over here. This, if you click this, it brings you to the Mastering Physics Blackboard landing page. And you should be able to go in and complete your assignments there. The first set of assignments that you need are open. Hopefully, you should be familiar with Mastering Physics from previous semesters. Okay, that's a real quick rundown of what we're covering, of the course, tools and structure. Are there any questions, things that aren't clear that you have right now? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So we've got about 10 minutes, 9 minutes left during our lecture time. So we're supposed to end at 11:20. So let me just jump back to, oh, sorry, maybe I should pause and take a look at the comments. Yeah, let me just look at the comments real quick. So somebody asks, somebody mentioned, is Slack just a weird version of Discord? It's very similar to Discord, if people are familiar with that. There's another product called Microsoft Teams. There are lots of products similar to Slack. Slack's just the one that that I'm kind of embedded in, so we're going to be using that. I think Discord is a weird version of Slack, but that's just a perspective. And it's not a discount Discord. Actually, Slack is a very expensive product. Our non-test assignment all open book. Yeah, so the written homework assignments are going to be open book. You can use whatever materials that you want to. I don't think you'll be able to find the solution out on the internet. So you're going to have to think through those problems. Is the exam in person? That's a good question. The answer is no. We're going to try to do the exam not in person. How are we going to do that securely? I'm still working that out, and I'll get back to you on the details. There are a lot of, they're still giving us a lot of feedback on how to administer exams not in person. So I haven't landed on one because there's a lot of choices, and we'll pick one as we're approaching that, and I'll let you guys know. On the weekly announcement, are the videos listed supposed to be watched prior to the Zoom? So you should read the Zoom, you should watch the videos that I post on the announcements that day. They are the videos you need to watch by the end of that day. So, the video that I ask you to watch on a given day on that announcement, we'll be discussing that material in the following day's live session. So you'll watch the videos before we discuss it. So just when I post to watch a video, it's watch it by the end of that day. Do I require webcams? No, I don't think you have to have your webcam. It is nice to see your faces, but you don't have to have a webcam if that's not some equipment that you have with you. Okay, those are all good questions. Thanks for sharing those in the chat. Okay, so now we have 7 minutes. Let me jump back to my PowerPoint. Oh, right. So one other thing I can tell you is, and I'll post an announcement about this on Blackboard with the link. We have a service in physics called the Physics Help Room. It's a free tutoring service that will be running this semester. It will be Zoom-based tutoring this semester. This is the webpage, wichita.edu/physics help room, where you can find out more details. So if you're struggling and you need to meet with some of our help room experts, please take advantage of that resource. It's totally free to you. Okay, great. So in the last 5 minutes, we can talk a little bit about physics. So this semester, we're going to be talking about electricity and magnetism. And this is really a different kind of, or it's gonna, we're gonna be following up on what we did in Physics 313. But this semester, right, in Physics 313, we learned about forces and we learned about momentum and we learned about some of these general ways that we can characterize systems that have some dynamics, some motion associated with them. Talk about the kinetic energy, talk about potential energies. Right, and all those things were arising from interactions between objects, right? Forces. The thing that really makes physics go is having two objects come and interact with one another and exert a force on one another, right? I have to, like, if I just had one object in the universe, just a single point object in the universe, it would be really boring. There would be no way to know if it was moving or not because there's no object to compare it to. It would just sit there and it would never do anything interesting. But as soon as I have two things, they can interact and exchange forces, and I can have one moving relative to the other, and I can define energy, and I can look at the momentum, and I can see how the energy and momentum change when they interact. And a question that physicists asks are, well, how do I characterize these interactions? When I have two particles coming through, what are the properties of those particles? And for those particles' properties, how does that relate to the forces that they'll exert on one another? And we talked really briefly about this in Physics 3.13. The only example where we talked about really a fundamental property of some particle leading to a interaction force was gravity, right? We said that objects can have mass. And two objects, if they have mass and they get near one another, are attracted to one another, right? They're pulled in towards one another with gravity. Okay, so that was the first sort of physical property that leads to a type of force and interaction, right? Massive particles have gravitational attraction. This semester, we're going to start by thinking about another property. We're going to start by thinking about charge, right? How objects that can have an electrical charge on them, we can bring them close to one another and they'll exert a force on one another. And we're going to see in chapter 22, and you've probably heard this before, right? Particles that have like charges. What does a charge mean? It's just a property, right? It's something I observe. I can do something to an object to change its physical state so that if I do that same thing to two particles and bring them near one another, they have the same charge. They like to push each other away. They like to exert a force that repels each other. And I can perform another physical process, and I could put a negative charge, I could imbue the object with another physical property where we call it negatively charged. And why do we call it that? Because when I bring it near the positive charge, suddenly they become attracted to one another. So there's just some physical property that I can observe in nature that allows me to describe these particles. And as a particle physicist, so my research background is in particle physics, so I study neutrinos. And what we've learned in physics is that really at a fundamental level, all of nature is really just a collection of a few fundamental objects that interact with each other in interesting ways. And this is a little picture of those fundamental objects, right? We think this is the table that contains all of the types of matter that exist in nature. Some of them you're familiar with. Here's an electron. These things up here in red are what we call the quarks. They're actually the subatomic particles that make up protons and neutrons that sit in the nucleus of an atom. And right, these things are heavier versions of the electrons, and there are also some neutral particles. Here's a photon. This is a particle of light. And there are some other interesting things that we've learned about. And one of the interesting properties of these is the electron, the muon, the tau, and all of these quarks, they have this charge property, right? So if I take an electron and I bring it near another electron, they have opposite charges, they push each other away. And that's something we can go and we can understand. We can ask questions like, if I have those two electrons and I bring them near each other and they push them away, do they push each other away more strongly as they get closer? Right? How does that work? What about the quarks? Are there interesting properties of those? What happens if I have an electron and a photon, etc.? And it turns out that, right, this idea of electromagnetism that we're talking about this semester is, right, the main way that particles interact. Almost all of the standard interactions, the forces that you experience in nature that aren't due to gravity, are due to electromagnetism. Why? Because the protons, right, are positively charged particles that live at the core of atoms, and the electrons are negatively charged particles, and everything in the universe is made of atoms. And so all of the physical contacts that we were talking about last semester are really like electromagnetic interactions, right? It's a bunch of little electromagnetic interactions happening by the electrons and the protons that make up your hand happening, right? Interacting with one another. Right. So that's that's sort of this thing. And what we're going to find as we go through the semester, we're out of time now, is that the photon, this particle of light, it's also a particle. It doesn't have charge, but the way we generate photons, the way you can make light is by taking charged particles and wiggling them. And if you take charged particles and you wiggle them rapidly, they radiate light. And the other thing goes that if I have some light coming in and it interacts with a charged particle, it can wiggle that charged particle. So in fact, the fact that you can see light is because you have charged particles in your eyes, and the electromagnetic radiation from the light interacts with those charged particles in your body. And so this that we're going to be going through and talking about this semester, electricity and magnetism, is really the fundamental type of interaction, right, next to gravity, that governs how everything that you observe in your daily life works. And we're going to try to unpack this a little bit at a time as we go through the semester. Okay. We're out of time. I have a couple more slides. We can talk. I'll just show these last bits to you on Wednesday when we meet again. Are there any last burning questions before we go? Okay, great. I'll see everybody again on Wednesday. Let me know if you have any trouble with the first assignments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.